It was the start of Robert's senior year at Chaparral High School. Gary trying to convince his son to drive the '82 Tercel wagon to school. But Robert proclaiming he would rather ride the school bus than to be seen in the Toyota. Gary having employed the 1984 Chevrolet Blazer for his daily 30-mile commute to the Kiowa hospital, weighing a decision, but finally giving in to his son's desire. Robert was meticulous in maintaining a prestigious image, always appropriately dressed, a stature fitted for all occasion. The Blazer providing a transportation means in keeping with his character. Gary accepting the downside of the Tercel wagon, especially the lack of air conditioning, the unit having failed the past year, but having spent most of his life without an AC appliance in his vehicles. Driving the '51 Dodge pickup, the Ford and Chevy vans, remembering transporting the band equipment in Old Blue, his 1966 Ford pickup across hundreds of miles of West Texas in the August heat. The 60-mile round trip to Kiowa during the heated Kansas weather was child play. Robert taking pride in his acquired transport, the Blazer kept pristine in appearance, installing a high-powered 300-watt subwoofer system in the rear, able to shatter the atmosphere with its reverberating projection as he traveled down the road. Gary and Jan borrowing the vehicle on a Saturday morning to attend a Amway meeting in Wichita. Descending upon the parking area of the meeting accommodation, members of his group, including his upline sponsors, Earl Cara and Don Ransom, who were gathered awaiting their arrival. Gary switching on Robert's subwoofer system, the resounding sound resonating off the buildings, the Blazer Sport with its tape player presentation giving the Wilsons a booming and noticeable entrance. Sandra having reached the age of automobility, Gary again acquainting the 5-speed SR5 Toyota wagon as the transport of learnable experience. His youngest daughter not quite having the dexterity of her brother Robert, but up front with the perseverance to master the shifting of the 5-speed manual transmission. Dad starting her familiarity with the driving exercise on the dirt mile section road east of Anthony, explaining how one could downshift from 5th gear to 4th, slowing the vehicle. Sandra soon mastered the usage of the clutch and the shifting, but on occasion, because of the narrow proximity of the gear shift pattern, she would shift from 5th gear, missing 4th, dropping the Toyota into 2nd gear, Gary finding himself almost propelled through the windshield with the sudden deceleration. This event was more humorous than serious. Sandra accomplishing her goal and obtained her driver's license without any difficulty. Unlike Robert, she was convivial in accepting the Tercel wagon as transportation. Gary discovering a requirement for another vehicle, Robert and the elder Wilson journeying to Wichita in the Blazer, once again acquainting East Kellogg in Automobile Row. Gary in search of a reliable used vehicle that would transact his weekday 60-mile round trip from Anthony to Kiowa. Again returning to a Davis Moore dealership, whom they had purchased Jan's Dodge Shadow convertible. Gary not a person to dicker about specifics, found what he was looking for on the trade-in sales lot. The salesperson perplexed that his sales pitch was not needed, and within an hour Gary was returning to Kiowa in a 1989 blue Oldsmobile Cutlass, pleased at his selection. The automobile heredity of the Wilson family fulfilled. Jan with her Shadow convertible, Rob with the Chevrolet Blazer, Sandra with the Toyota Tercel, and Gary more than satisfied with the newly acquired Oldsmobile Cutlass. It was a Saturday, Gary and Jan journeying to Oklahoma City to visit Gary's daughter Marlo, his daughter in an expectant manner. The couple arriving at the residence, finding a note on the door, the written message acknowledging they were expected, but were called away to their recent acquired business opportunity, the note posted with the address. Their recent acquired enterprise, a result of Marlo's mother's friend, Jim, marketing his business, a graphic LWD logging while drilling operation. the endeavor evolving from oil companies and speculators engendering their menstruations from the drilling sites, measuring the porosity, resistivity, and acoustic wave fronts of the drilling process. Transferring the analysis to a paper graph, presentable for the oil rig roustabouts, engineers, and various enfolding invested constabulary for contemplation of the drilling progress. Gary, well aware of Oklahoma's oil-rich endowment and its contribution to the state's overall economy, and was ardent about his daughter and son-in-law's newfound opportunity. The phone call was expected, the new year welcoming a new arrival. On January 3, 1995, Allison, Elaine Denton, tipping the scales at 5 pounds, 13 ounces. Blessing the world and heritage of the Denton and Wilson families. The grandfather making the drive to Oklahoma City. The visit was brief, but enduring, experiencing the euphoria that fills the air with the presence of a newly born. Gary extending and looking forward to Marlo and Chris, a possible early spring visit to Anthony. The drive home was one of contemplation, Gary pondering how to be what he wasn't, a close-knit family grandfather. The answer remained, but was within a circle of circumstances.